welcome back to another episode of the Globe Interview Series. With me today in Paris is Nicolai Reinbold, Global Head of Innovation and Expansion at CV Labs. So hi Nicolai, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. And how are you?
I'm good, thank you. So could you tell us a bit about your background and how you came on your blockchain journey?
Yeah, so I've always been kind of an entrepreneur guy. So I did my first ventures when I was 17. Totally different topic than now. But then in 2015-16, I got introduced to Bitcoin from a friend of mine. Got interested in, kind of making the money and stuff. But then I actually got interested in the blockchain technology. So I started learning about that in my bachelor. I did my bachelor thesis with one of the two big banks in 2016-17, where I did a paper about blockchain and how they can use that. And then I kind of got into a company, and then the CVVC and CV Labs kind of started to grow or to happen, and then I kind of slipped into that.
Okay, so you mentioned CVVC and CV Labs.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference? So
CVVC stands for Crypto Value Venture Capital. It's a VC where we invest in blockchain technology, or startups who use blockchain technology in various fields. So the sector doesn't matter to us, but it's quite early. And CV Labs is the ecosystem, right? And under this ecosystem brand, we have co-working spaces. So we have one in Switzerland, in Zug, the Crypto Valley. There we have around 150 blockchain companies, as well big names as Cardano or Tezos are tenants there. And as well, under the brand of CV Labs, we have an incubator, which I co-designed at the beginning. This incubator runs 3 months. The next batch is in May 2022. And the investment comes from CVVC, but then CV Labs does kind of the incubation program. And we as well do kind of events, big events, up to 1,000 people during the World Economic Forum, for example, or reports, right? But there's two brands, one company, so to say.
You mentioned you guys are based in Switzerland, right? So what are the regulatory benefits of being based in Switzerland?
Yeah. So we are not only based in Switzerland, actually. We as well have a co-working space, or the ecosystem we based as well in Liechtenstein, Vaduz, in Africa. There we're quite active with the Secretary of State of Economics Affairs, because our goal is to invest in 100 startups in the African region, and we expand more. But the benefit of being in Switzerland is quite nice, because as I said, it's already called Crypto Valley because you have over 1,100 companies in Switzerland who are focusing on the blockchain technology or in the crypto space. And the benefits, it's regulatory. So, if you want to do a token, you have different kind of regulations and all that. So it's, since I think 2017, 18, the space got looked at from the legal aspect. And we also have a really good foundation law. So that's why you find a lot of foundations in Switzerland. Like all the big layer 1 protocols have their foundation in Switzerland, right? The setup is there. For us itself, it doesn't matter that much, right? Because we are a VC and the kind of ecosystem. So we don't kind of need to have the legal aspect for blockchain technology, as we ourselves are not the blockchain crypto company, right?
Yeah.
We're kind of a service provider.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's interesting. So I mean, are there any benefits for your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. I said, right, one is the foundation law. It's quite good. And then it's regulated, right? So as I said, you have different kind of tokens, what you need to issue. There are many benefits, right? And there are also taxes. Taxes is quite cheap, low, but it's not as low as, it's not zero, right? Like in other countries, but it's quite low compared to most other countries, right?
Perfect, thank you. So what type of support can blockchain startups expect to receive from CV Labs?
Yeah, so as said before, one part is investment, right? We do direct investment and the incubation investment. By the incubation investment, there we have a standard deal of 135,000 for 7%. So we do equity, but we also have like a token investment model. Next to that, we have co-working spaces that we have, right? but we also work with different kind of projects, right? So we have like ecosystem partners like GSR, which is a big market maker in the space. We work together with AWS, so you can get you get 25,000 AWS credits, but this can be topped up to $100,000 in AWS credits. You have 125,000 in IBM credits. You get 10 hours of legal advice from our legal partner, because we work together with MME, and MME is a big law firm in the space actually. So they did a lot of foundation law for blockchain layer 1 protocols, so they're quite well known. You have a pool, so when you look at the incubation program itself, there you have a pool of over 100 mentors globally, and around 50 experts who are doing different kind of workshops, right? We are protocol agnostic, so that means we are not focused on one protocols, but most of the big protocols are part of the program. So you kind of get access to their grants or kind of get introduced to those people when you want to, because they did like an intro video, and you kind of have access to them, right? You can get to know them. You as well get like media training, legal setup, that's already mentioned. And then as well get introduced to different exchanges. When you then launch a token, most of our startups in the incubation program do not yet have a token because they're quite early, right? But there's a lot of benefits at the end. And we try to as well merge the old or the traditional world with the new world. So we work as well with a lot of corporates like PwC, Siemens, Google. We have an expert in our incubation programs from Google. And we try to do that with as well events. So we have small community events at our hubs up to big events, right? As I mentioned before, we have the next one during the World Economic Forum. We have a blockchain hub there with Casper Labs, and there we try to kind of connect startups to kind of the traditional world.
Absolutely. So it really does seem like you can, take a like really early round startup and then take it into like a massive, company.
Yeah. So that's what we try to do, right? Right. Yeah.
So can you tell us about any that you've already worked with that's been successful?
Yeah. I mean, so the thing is, right. So I said they're quite early. So you don't have and we're like around since like 4 years, not even 4 years. So you don't have like that many, right? We started then investing in 2019. Right. We did now, I think 35 investments. There's some, but most of you don't know them yet, but they raised, oh no, maybe, I'm talking about incubation, right? Just the incubation ones. They're different. They're raising now like 10, 50 million. It's quite good. But then if you're looking at the direct investments, there's for example, GK8, which is a custody cybersecurity startup from Tel Aviv or from Israel. And they just did an exit for 150 million, like a couple months ago. Then there's another big one who is, I would say, almost a unicorn. It's called Utopia in the music industry. And they kind of track, it's about royalties and all that kind of stuff. So I think they're quite big now. They are in many different countries. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So I know you mentioned earlier that you had your panel here in Paris on, was it music and NFTs?
Yes.
So how does that kind of link up with the music company? So
it has nothing to do with this company, Utopia. So the thing is, I just got asked to do so at last minute. Yeah. But it's a really interesting topic, right? Because there's a lot of stuff, the artists and label records, they don't get along as so much. I think even Kanye West said that the record labels do modern day slavery, and there talking about royalties, the rights. About community, right? Growing your community, giving peace or giving stuff to your community, having more power to the artists, right? And especially younger artists have their more chances or more rights on their end. But has nothing to do kind of with, it has a bit, but I think Utopia doesn't do yet stuff with NFTs.
Oh, right. Okay, cool. So what type of blockchain projects is CV Labs looking for?
At the end, we're quite open for each sector, right? So we invested in the music industry, we invested in health tech, insurance tech, in fintech, right? So there we're quite open. We as well now have a token vehicle where we invest kind of in early stage token startups, and as well kind of region-wise, it doesn't matter to us. So the only thing is that they need to use or be related to crypto and blockchain. Right, so that's kind of the thing. We don't invest in stuff that has to do with gambling or weapons, stuff like that. But at the end, we're quite open to invest. We invest in every kind of direction, right? And that just need to be early at the end. So we do early stage investments.
Okay, yeah. Amazing. So no gambling, no weapons. So no violent blockchain games.
No, I mean play to. I think when you talk about play to earn, I think we are not that interested directly in play to earn. However, what we would then be interested in is a game studio, right? Who kind of does that. But we not yet have invested in one so far. Yeah, but as well, I mean, violence in games, I think we would not promote it, I believe, right? But at the end, it's about the technology and the team behind, right? And that's really important. When you invest, it's not just the project itself, right? So it's about the team. Can they execute? Is there a market fit? Is the time right to kind of push out the project? And I think that's as well important if you invest in a company.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so interesting that you look not just at the capabilities of the company, but how it all fit in the kind of the ecosystem of the world, right?
Yeah. I think that's important, and you need to have people need to use your product at the end, right? If you don't get customers, you don't have a good product, or not. No, you can have the best product, but if the market is not ready for the product, it doesn't really make sense to kind of start with it, right? It's a bit difficult at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Not everyone can do VC, right?
Yeah, I guess you need some experience in this space. Yeah.
So the 2022 CVVC Global Report was just recently published. Can you talk about this report and what it is?
So we do actually quite a lot of reports, right? So we have the top 50 report. That's kind of our first report that we did. I think we did already 7 editions of that since 2018. And in the top 50 report, there we kind of look into Crypto Valley, so Switzerland and Liechtenstein, and then kind of look at the landscape, because we have CV Maps. CV Maps is kind of the yellow page of companies in Switzerland. So you can go on there and you can kind of search kind of in sector when you're kind of looking for a startup, and you can find that, right? And so with this, we're kind of getting all the data, looking what happens in the market. And then out of this data, we do then the top 50 report. And then we kind of check which are the top 50 companies in the space. Then the top global report is something rather broader, right? It's global. We have 12 sectors in there, and there's kind of more like a landscape of companies, right? So we don't go deep into different topics. It's kind of more showing what's happening in the world, who are the kind of the main players at the moment, and then they kind of talk about about their field, right? So you have a DeFi project, they talk a bit about the DeFi thing. And then we also have all the kind of regions that we do kind of now reports. So in Africa, so we will launch our CVVC Top 50 Africa report during the World Economic Forum in Davos this year. And then another one will be launched for another region, because we're expanding this year quite a lot. And then we're kind of looking into the market, get to know the players, and then publish that, right? And as well, the state, for example, in Switzerland, you have a lot of people from the government asking for data and stuff like that, because they also kind of need or want to see what happens, right? We do these reports so far always together with PwC, and then we kind of publish that together. So
how do you apply the knowledge and the trends from the reports in your role as global head of expansion and innovation?
For me, it's important. My kind of role now, and it's kind of a new role that we kind of created, because as we are expanding, as I said, as we are expanding this year quite a lot, is to kind of see what kind of players are there in certain regions, right? And having already contact to them and then kind of see, can we work together? It's quite important to kind of use this kind of knowledge and the contact which we do over the report to kind of get into the space or into the region and then talk to the players, right? And start communicating and maybe setting up different partnerships. So this is actually quite important. And I think the report helps me in this quite a lot because, we do the research, we reach out to these companies, we get in contact with the companies. And then, this contact then I can use to kind of, build a closer partnership in the region.
You're global head of expansion and innovation, and all this expanding that CV Labs is doing. Mm-hmm. How is that going?
It's going good. So Africa is the newest addition. I think it's around a year ago that we kind of opened up. There we went first with CVVC, right? And as I said before, our goal is to invest in the 100 startups in this region, together with SECO. So SECO is the Secretary of State of Economics Affairs, Switzerland. And it's going really good, right? We already invested in a few African startups as well. In our last batch, we had like 90% from Africa. And we are looking into the Indian region. So we're in contact there with the government. We looked at Latin America. Lisbon is also really interesting because there you have a lot of developers. So it's a bit different approach. But most probably our next region is going to be closer to Switzerland, which will be Berlin. But there as well, we kind of now in discussions all the time. But I think, we're going to open up 1 to 3 hubs in the next year, 2 years, right? Uh-huh. And that's kind of the goal, right? To open this up and then connecting all the kind of activity that we do with the different players. So then, as a startup, our startup, you can get then, or the goal is to get access to this region and, to those investors in the region, the companies in the region. You can go there and work from our co-working spaces in another region, and then it's all kind of connected, right? That's kind of our goal, and to really as well support the government, having our knowledge from Switzerland as we kind of helped setting up the regulatory framework in another region, right? Help the regulatory work closely with the government, educate them as good as possible.
Perfect. It's very, very exciting to see all the exciting projects that are happening right now.
Yeah.
So do you have any ones that you'd like to talk about right now?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening at the moment. But the thing is, I don't like to talk about different topics because then, I don't want to give kind of investment recommendations. It's always a bit thing. But there's a lot. So, for example, Near protocol is an interesting protocol. Also, good friends of ours, and they are quite moving, and the team is quite cool, right? And because we did with them, for example, we did stuff in Kenya, where we kind of did competition in different universities, and kind of helping educate students from Africa get into the space, have then a job opportunity, which I think, in the future it's quite important to have that because, you can work now remote, and as we are decentralized, there's a lot of opportunities for people who didn't have or don't have that much opportunity, but are smart and, have the drive to do something.
Amazing. That's really inspiring, actually. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thank you so much, Nicolai, for taking the time out, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.